Hi there. If you're a freelance writer and you've been struggling of late, or maybe you've not been struggling, but you've been feeling some type of way, some anxiety and all that, and just feeling worried as a freelance writer, especially because of AI, I'm here to tell you that you've been doing freelance writing all wrong. Yes, there's a way in which your business model has most likely not been ideal and has not been working for you. So I'm going to explain this to you. Freelance writing should not be your end goal. It's not your end goal. Freelance writing should be your first step to financial independence. So you'll be able to get your income, pay your bills, buy food, build your life, and just the daily stuff. But then it's supposed to launch you into creating financial freedom. You see, that's the thing. That's exactly the part where most of us have been doing it wrong. So I'm Catherine and I've been doing freelance writing for the past 6 years. And what I'm teaching you is something that has been on my mind since when I started freelance writing, but I hadn't realized how critical it is, how important it is in the freelance writing industry, in my freelance writing business. And that means even in teaching other people about freelance writing, it never occurred to me to teach this part of freelance writing. And here's the thing, the high achievers in freelance writing, the ones who have such stability that they seem to be unshaken even when things change, have always known this secret. So it's up until recently that I realized I need to bring this, to the forefront and tell people about it and tell my fellow freelance writers about it, you specifically. So, freelance writing, as I've said, should be your first step to financial independence, and that's very critical. If you enjoy writing, it should be what gives you, your source of income, and it's the fastest way to start making an income. Trust me, even in this age of AI, when you do it right, it's the fastest way to start getting an income. So you do the freelance writing, the freelancing. But then this other side, this other business you're supposed to build, your online business, that's supposed to give you passive income. Ideally, it's not passive, it's like semi-passive, but let's just say passive, because nothing is 100, like most of these businesses, none of them is like 100% passive. So this other online business is supposed to give you passive income. But here is the trick. Here is the trick, and here's the secret that they hide. Those people, those writers who've been looking seemingly unshaken in the face of any changes. This is the secret they've always known. You need to build these two things at the same time. You need to build your freelance writing business to give you your active income, and you need to build at the same time this online business that gives you passive income. Okay, so here's the thing. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but in reality, it is not. You're building these things concurrently, and actually, you're using almost no extra effort to build this online business that will give you a passive income. So if you just focus on freelance writing only, you're no different from someone who's employed. I know in the online space, we like to say that if you get to do work online, you're escaping the rat race and you're not like the employed people. But here's the thing, if you only focus on freelance writing, you're actually no different from someone who has a 9 to 5, day job, because if anything happens, if you lose a client, if you lose all your clients that are go, you're literally going to start from scratch. You're going to be going from like making some good money to zero, to making zero bob. And when you get to that point, you have nothing to turn to. So that's why this is so important. When you're building these two things at the same time, you are not shaken when anything changes in your freelance writing, because you have this other business that you're building at the same time that will give you passive income. Let me explain. Let me actually give you an example so that you may understand this better. Let's say, preferably you in the same niche. So your freelance writing business, let's say you write about gardening. And this online business, you also focus on gardening. And here's the thing, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have a degree in gardening. It can just be like you're speaking as someone who is passionate about gardening. It can be like a hobby or something you're just beginning to learn. So it can be the same niche, and it doesn't have to be, but I'll give the example with if you're doing it, you were doing these two businesses in the same niche. So here you are building your freelance writing business as an expert in writing gardening content, so blog posts about gardening. So instead of just writing these samples up in the air or just randomly or just giving a potential clients Google documents with your samples, you have this website where you're talking about gardening. And mark you, when someone lands on this website, it shouldn't show that you're also doing freelance writing. These are totally different businesses. So someone landing on this website where you talk about gardening may not even have a clue that this person who has created this website is a freelance writer. They may not even have a clue. You don't have to show that this is a portfolio. No. This is just a website on its own about you talking about gardening. So as you're writing the blog post on this website, you use the same samples when you're applying for jobs as a freelance writer for your freelance writing business. And here's the thing where it gets even sweeter. These samples give you even higher credibility for your potential clients, because if they're not keen to click around on your website, they get the feeling that you've already written for other websites. So this even helps you as a beginner, because it gives them the impression you've written for another website. Because if they don't click around, they may not even realize that this is your website, So you use them as your samples to get clients. And then this is the thing. This is how it gets even more sweeter. Everyone is talking about learning more skills right now in this AI era. But I know for many people who like writing, for people who got into freelance writing because they just want to write and nothing else, I know it's not easy. It's not easy when people tell you have to start learning AI, you have to start learning a new skill, and you're wondering which new skills. I just want to write. So this is where it really, really helps you. One of the new skills that you need to acquire to make yourself even more marketable as a freelance writer is other forms of writing, not just blog post writing. Even creating that website itself is another skill. Now you start doing things like email marketing. So on this website where you are, you're presenting yourself as an expert or a hobbyist on gardening, you create an email list. You create a lead magnet. You start building your email list. You do email marketing. You have a newsletter. And I know this sounds like a lot, but it is not. These are things you can learn very quickly. So you get to practice these new skills. And now you can offer this to your potential clients in your freelance writing business. So instantly, you've already upskilled and you've had a very easy place to practice, you see, which is on your business. You come now and create digital products on this online business that talks about gardening. So get this, you're improving yourself, you're making yourself more marketable as a freelance writer, but at the same time, you're building this online business that is separate from your freelance writing. So how does it help? You get to a point where you now start selling digital products on this website. So as you're selling digital products, you're making passive income. So anything that happens to your freelance writing business, you actually look like you're not shaken, because if by any chance you lose your clients, or you get to a point where you don't feel like writing anymore because writing is exchanging your time for money, you have this other business that you've already established. So let's be very realistic. If it's at the beginning and this other business is not yet making you passive income, it's still a win for you, because in case you have to drop this freelance writing for any reason, maybe you don't have clients, they all maybe ditch you and all that, you're not starting from scratch. You're not now at zero and wondering, where in the world do I begin? Because you've already started building this online business. So it's just a matter of now putting in more time and growing it to the level where it's making you income. The sweetest part is, if you've been doing this for a long time, you actually are making extra income. So you're no longer only 100% depending on your freelance writing business. Okay? So that's the thing. I hope you're getting it. So you have to build two businesses at the same time. That is the only way you're going to survive as a freelance writer. And not just survive, actually, scratch that. That's the way you're going to thrive as a freelance writer. So freelance writing is still alive and well, and is still one of the best ways to start making money online. And it's actually the one of the best ways to launch yourself into financial freedom, where you're making passive income. So I hope you've got it, and I hope you're going to start this. If you're a beginner in freelance writing, I truly encourage you, start that way. Just create it in your mind that you are building two businesses, and it will be almost like no extra effort, because anyway you have to create samples, you have to practice somewhere these new skills. So you might as well try it and practice those things on this other website for your online business. So you use those things to show you to use in your freelance writing business. So it will take almost no extra effort. And if you're an established freelance writer and you've not been doing this, this is your wake up call. This is your wake up call. You have how do I say this? You have no excuse. You have to start this, because you cannot sit and just say, I'm a freelance writer, full stop. Because freelance writing, in reality, is exchanging your time for money. And you can't do that forever. If that is your only goal forever, then you're still like just employed, and you're waiting to retire and then start from scratch again. So you have to do this. If you're an experienced freelance writer and you haven't grown your online business separate from your freelance writing business, you have to start this. And this is what I'm going to continue talking about. So if you're interested in this, keep following me, subscribe, follow me on my social media platform, because this is what I'm going to be teaching you from now henceforth. This is something I've been doing myself, but never got to the point of realizing I need to teach people this. But it hit me very recently that this is the only answer to this AI era, this scare that people are afraid of, the freelance writers are afraid of. This is the answer. So I'm going to talk about this, and just follow me and do your own research. See how you're going to grow these two businesses, and we are going to win this. So it's not your time to quit on freelance writing, it's your time to level up. And I'm going to show you exactly how. So follow me for more of this, and we're going to kill this, guys. We're going to succeed as freelance writers, and you're going to be very excited. You're actually headed for financial freedom, not just making daily income actively, but passively. So I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you again on the next video. So bye-bye for now.